The latest episode of AVA is the perfect demonstration of Alan and his team's ability to make a story that stacks up to the likes of Mappa production in awe. The fight scene between the Dark Lord and Hacker reminded me heavily of the fight scenes present in Jujutsu Kaisen, with its own style of course, and it far surpasses the animation quality of something like Invincible, which is hilarious to say since all the characters are stick figures. In my last video I went into detail about Victim and his character arc, and just where it was going to lead in the next episode. But his conclusion of the arc in this episode was the most perfect way they could have done it. Because literally his final death scene, and I am saying death even though he was technically resurrected, I'll get into that later, is literally his whole character arc summed up in one scene. Him slowly fading away while crawling towards Mitzi and then eventually dying is what his entire life was, basically. He was on the path of vengeance and basically just slowly losing himself along the way. And then eventually it caught up with him and he died in this climactic moment. And the Dark Lord in this episode is absolutely a menace. Like, he just seemed in control of everything. Like, every little, even the fight. I mean, there were some moments where Victim had, disabled his firepower, which is broken, by the way. Victim can literally disable powers. And I think the only reason Victim lost is because he can't disable the band power that the Dark Lord has, like the virus bands. I don't think he can disable that. But yeah, he could disable his firepower, and this Dark Lord was a bit like, huh? Like, what the flip? But yeah, there still was that element of the Dark Lord being cocky and believing his plan had no faults, which it definitely did have faults. Like, there were a few moments, like mentioned before, when his firepower was destroyed. But the only other time he probably felt fear was, after Victim had been defeated and the whole freaking rocket ship company was in chaos. The second coming just flared green, and he literally when he looked and saw it, I could tell he had PTSD of what happened to him before. And then he was like, uh-oh, I gotta get out of here. And then, he asked Victim to disable his powers. And the Dark Lord as well, being left with only his band powers. I feel like in the next episode he will ask Victim to re-enable his fire powers, but for now he's stuck with his band virus powers, which is how he was able to literally, steamroll everyone. They're still, the bands are still broken as, flip. And speaking of the band virus powers, it's now confirmed that it can literally destroy any material, because the box thing that Victim uses can tank a nuke, point blank, and yet it can't tank the virus thing. So it kind of confirms the Dark Lord hits harder than a nuke, which is actually broken. But yeah, just every part of this episode just had me smiling on the seat. I wish I recorded my reaction. It was actually just insane watching it. And speaking of the story, the plot, I think it was very well executed. Mitzi being brought back to life is quite interesting, because I didn't think that was actually going to happen when the Dark Lord was promising Victim they'd do it in the last episode. And I also didn't expect Victim to figure out the Dark Lord killed Mitzi so quickly, but he did, which I thought was quite good, because he was always expressed to be a details person, so it was only a matter of time before he figured it out. And it's just so tragic, him just realizing that all the vengeance he took against the Chosen One was just only half of it. Because the Chosen One did help in that massacre, but he didn't kill Mitzi specifically. And speaking of the Chosen One, he's literally been completely sidelined. He only exists as just a background, object now. Which is perfect because he's been renamed No One. So he is no one now. He's not even a part of the story anymore. Because when he was the Chosen One, he was, had all that which is, again, another one of my videos if you want to go check it out. But yeah, he literally just is a background object. The only scene he really gets is when the Dark Lord, punches him in the stomach, and also when he's used to confirm the fact that the Dark Lord killed Mitzi, which I think he's definitely going to have a comeback later on. I'm not sure how the characters are going to get out of this, because it's been confirmed that the whole slave thing that locks their consciousness when the people are revived it can be removed by Victim. So I'm curious to see where that goes, because Victim is currently a slave to the Dark Lord, and they don't have his powers to disable it. Yellow does have the computer bands, which allow him to control stuff. He might be able to disable and enable powers, but I don't think he can. He's not as broken as Hacker. Yeah, I feel like they're kind of cooked, because they've got Mitzi, they have the pencil thing, they have the console, But the Second Coming is their only key to victory, and he's locked up. I think the Dark Lord's plan is he's going to just completely destroy the entire outer net and just like make everyone a slave to him, which is perfectly on brand for a Dark Lord, to be honest. But yeah, in terms of character development, we didn't have as much of like character work in this episode as we did others. It was mainly just spectacle, and of course Victim had the most character work, which was on like definitely needed because he has died now. Yeah, it was kind of showing that, like, you know, the stick colors, they definitely were trying to hold themselves back, and you know, they were sad that the Second Coming was being captured and taken into the machine. Agent Smith died as well, which is kind of insane. Like, they've killed off a lot of characters, and they are revived, but I'm not sure if they're actually going to stay. Mitzi, actually, I've just thought of this now. Mitzi might actually be able to remove Victim's like consciousness thing. Although we have seen that when Victim tried to do the same thing for Mitzi, it didn't work. He had to use his powers to do that. So I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen. Speaking of the fight, I reckon it's on par with some fights in Jujutsu Kaisen. Definitely not on par with Sendai Colony. I don't think anything's going to be able to pass that. But this, like, it's honestly one of the best fights I've seen in my recent media consumption. It's definitely, the animation is way better than a show like Invincible, which just is another reason why they should step it up, because literally Alan and his team are able to produce stuff with this amount of quality. Invincible is still a great show. The character work in it is still awesome. In fact, if you want me to make videos on Invincible, I definitely will. I can hop on the hype train of the next season and talk about the current season, but I feel like there's so many videos talking about that now. The story is definitely intriguing me because it seems like the Dark Lord has finally gotten what he wanted to do. Originally, his plan was to send out viruses across the entire internet, and ruin, just destroy everything. I feel like now that they've actually like stopped that, and I think he's literally just wanting to enslave everyone. But yeah, I am so excited for the next episode. I literally cannot wait. I feel like this episode, with how good it was, I feel like it was mostly set up for the next one. Character, I'm very excited to see what happens with the characters, because I feel like the Color Gang are definitely going to go through a lot of development. They have to learn how to become, which they already were doing. In the Hacker episode, they literally fought off all of the mercenaries themselves, so they are certainly capable of overcoming the need of having the Second Coming there to sort of lead them. I reckon they're going to be the key to victory in the whole fight that will ensue in the next couple episodes. But I'm not sure how many are going to be left, because the Dark Lord is... I feel like we're at the climax of the story. The Dark Lord has always existed as a foil to the main characters. He hasn't really had any development himself, aside from working with the Chosen One for a bit and then, you know, getting angry at the Chosen One for not going along with his plan of total annihilation of the internet. If you guys like this kind of episode, where I have less of a script and more just to yap into the mic, please let me know in the comments. I will still make videos like analyzing and breaking down things in the future. This episode, I just really wanted to just express my thoughts pretty much instantly and get it out into a format. I'm definitely going to hopefully start posting more on this channel, because I just want to, you know, my passion. Film is one of my passions, so I'm definitely just wanting to do it. And I feel like this Alan Becker, the story that he's crafting, is crazy. And if you want me to explore some of his other stories, especially the animation versus Minecraft stuff, I will happily do so, because there is some really interesting character work going on there. Quick briefly, in the 8th episode, which is criminally underrated, by the way, it's only got like 6 million views compared to the 25 million that Alan normally gets. I feel like just the characters of Purple and King are evolving. It's getting pretty insane. So if you want me to make a video on that, please let me know. I'm thinking of making a video on the Amazing Digital Circus, which is kind of a controversial thing at the moment with the whole movie stuff, but I don't care. The show is just absolutely peak, and I want to make a video on it, especially after I'm going to see the movie this Saturday, so it's going to be peak. I have faith. I have faith. All the hate is not... I haven't seen any leaks, so it's going to be a true experience. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.